Power 98.7, progressively elevating the conversation. Now, we're talking.
All right, 18 minutes past 7 o'clock on Power Business, and we get into this next segment now, Ask Your HR. And June is Youth Month in South Africa, a time to recognize and celebrate the contributions and potential of young people in our society and workplaces. Now, when we talk about ageism, the focus is often the marginalization of older employees. But what happens when the dynamic is reversed? When younger professionals are spoken down to or not taken seriously simply because of their age? Tonight on Ask Your HR, we explore this less discussed side of ageism in the workplace, the subtle way it shows up, and how organizations can foster respect and collaboration through generations. And joining us to help us unpack this conversation is HR expert Brenda Gobi. Brenda, a very good evening and good to have you with us on the show.
Good evening to you and your listeners, and thanks for having me.
So, Brenda, how would you define ageism when it's directed at younger people in the workplace? Because we often hear about older workers being sidelined, but what does the reverse look like?
Yeah, we hear that a lot. So ageism is the discrimination of people based on their age. Whilst ageism is more common amongst older workers, younger employees experience it too, and this is called reverse ageism.
So, Brenda, what are some of then the subtle or even unintentional ways that younger professionals experience then this age-based bias?
There's subtle ways where ageism appears in the workplace. For example, there are stereotypes of younger people or employees. You know, things are being said like younger employees are lazy, they are less reliable, they are unmotivated, they are arrogant, and in classic South African slang, we even say they are chacharig. You've heard it before.
Yeah.
These type of words are negative. It's actually called microaggressions, right? So it's unintentional, but it causes some damage because younger people would feel so demotivated by these words that are being said to them.
So, Brenda, in your experience, how does this kind of treatment affect younger staff, both personally and professionally? Can it influence how they show up, share ideas, or even grow within the organization?
Absolutely. It affects them negatively and really how they show up. So first of all, if you hear all these negative things being said about young people, you feel marginalized, right? And it excludes you from important meetings. Sometimes you are excluded from important tasks just because you are a younger person and you are being viewed as not having the skills or the experience. And yes, why would you show up and be positive and even share your ideas if you know that you will be put down based on your age?
So we look at then how this impacts young people, but what are the risks then to a business when it ignores the voices or ideas of younger staff?
Right. So the worry we should have is that this affects the organization and the economy and society. Because remember, the organization needs young, fresh, new ideas for their products, for their business. The boomer generation continues to retire, right? And we face a potential loss of highly skilled workforce. Now, this leads to a skills gap. And knowledge needs to be transferred, which means that organizations stand a chance of losing all this knowledge whilst it's not being transferred to the younger generation. It is a high risk. It will affect their profits and the lifespan of the company as well.
Now, let's look at the power dynamics then and culture within this workspace, because how do power dynamics in traditionally hierarchical sort of workplaces contribute then to this kind of bias?
Like I say, it's that stereotype that, you know what, an older person knows better, they've been there for many years. You can even see it happen in pay, you know, on the pay scale. where it's not necessarily that people are being paid necessarily for their skill. It might be they are being paid for their seniority level. And what happens is that younger people then feel like, why should they contribute? They feel excluded already just because they're not in a higher ranking position, because it's like they don't have the experience. And that is, something we need to be aware of within the organizations, that it's really detrimental for the whole organization.
In your experience, Brenda, are some industries or sectors worse than others when it comes to taking young professionals seriously?
I don't think necessarily that. I just think it has to do with team dynamics in every organization. And what companies should do is really in their hiring process, they should look at what people do they bring in from like diverse perspective of age. We shouldn't discriminate against people who are older and not against people who are younger. So it just depends. But, discrimination against age happens in different sectors and different organizations.
Mm. Do you think this kind of behavior is usually intentional, or can it happen unconsciously, even when, with the best of intentions?
You know what? I don't think it's always intentional, but sometimes what I do see happens is that when older people maybe feel threatened about their job because they also get discriminated against, they might not want to share knowledge or coach or, train the younger people because they might feel like, I'll be pushed out of my job if I do that, right? So they don't intentionally want to do that. Sometimes it's silly words. Like I say, it's those microaggressions where, people say things like, oh, are you the new intern? Oh, you should probably get us the coffee just because you're younger, right? So we need to be very much aware of these type of language we use in the workplace.
Mm. What advice would you offer, Brenda, to younger employees who may be feeling overlooked or patronized, but want to handle the situation constructively?
Yeah. So I had the opportunity to be part of career fairs where we go to universities, and a lot of the young people are excited to join the workforce, but they're also scared because they hear things that happen in the workplace, and they also feel like, how are we going to handle, all the attention, and what if people don't want to teach them? And I say to them, you know what? Be that person. Don't, if a company employs graduates, right? Normally it's more than one person. Don't just focus on being friends with that group. Take the opportunity. Also be proactive. If you overhear a person that has been there with a company, they're on a call, they help a customer, say to that person, you know what? I've overheard you really sort out that issue so well. I would love to learn from you. Do you maybe have time? Don't just sit with one person. Introduce yourself to other people. Try and find out what other people do. This shows proactiveness, that you're not just there to laze around. You're actually there to make an impact and a difference. So I say to them, show up in a positive way, and just know that, right, it's a different environment where you are on campus with your friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, certainly. It's that mindset shift then to
Yes.
help you navigate, the
Yes.
work environment. On the other hand, Brenda, how can organizations then train or guide staff to challenge age-based assumptions without creating this tension or defensiveness?
Yeah, there's actually a lot that can be done. The company can raise awareness. Like you mentioned, the training, they can offer training sessions to educate employees on ageism and how to identify it. They can also implement age-inclusive policies, that regardless of age, they can actively participate in promotions and advance their careers. HR also needs to review their processes, like their hiring processes, to make sure there's no age bias, right? Educate managers, educate teams, and also embrace mentoring. Train older staff that they can mentor the younger ones and promote age diversity in leadership, right? Have succession planning and include all age groups, right? And also establish a go-to person, right? They can be that go-to person that clearly communicates to all employees. And this is just some of the few things that can be done, but more can be done. Yeah.
Yeah, certainly more can be done. But I guess a start is what we definitely need to see. Brenda, we're going to leave it there. Thank you so much for taking us through that conversation.
Thank you so much for your time. Take care.
All right, Brenda Gobi there, HR expert, taking us through Ask Your HR as we focus on reverse ageism and how young people can navigate this in the workplace as young professionals. What are the sort of tools then you need to help you if you might be feeling that you are getting different treatment as a younger staff member, and how it might also affect your growth within an organization professionally as well as personally, because sometimes you internalize what you are seeing or how you're being treated as a younger employee, and then this may in turn make you withdraw from your duties and not feel that you are being treated equally within the workplace, and question the way that the organization, the culture within the organization. But Brenda Gobi taking us through that conversation now, HR expert.